This is not an easy gospel to preach about, especially in our world today, where we have about 58 to 60% of marriages going in divorce. We've actually turned the corner in a way. We have more divorces than we have marriages. And to say that Christian faith says there is no divorce, and to say that if someone who is divorced and remarries commits adultery, a lot of people don't like that. And that is true. But of course we have to try and understand why Jesus would have said such a thing. What is he trying to tell us? It's not just about the marriage, in a way. There's a lot more going on here in this gospel. It's not just about marriage. Sometimes people will relate this particular gospel to that relationship of marriage, which of course Jesus speaks about. But there is more to it than just that particular aspect of it. Of course, we all hear the church should stay out of the bedroom. I've been told that many a time. When I ask a simple question, maybe I'll be told, Father, the bedroom is our domain, not yours. And I would have to respect the person's request at that. But we're not really talking about the bedroom in marriage. Yes, that's an aspect of it. But we're not really talking about it in the church. When we take a look at this particular subject in a way, and it is a very hard subject to get our minds around, because of the fact of our individualism, and because of the fact of our world, which allows divorce, and because of all the factors that it has become so common and so commonplace that it's very hard to try and reject it or to try to keep something different. I might have to go a little bit philosophical on you this morning in order to try and explain it a bit. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of a man by the name of Martin Buber. I doubt it. You might have heard me talking about him before. Martin Buber was a philosopher, a 20th century philosopher, who wrote a book. He's a German, about 500 pages long, or maybe even more. And it was the most boring book I ever had to read in my life. He was trying to explain something though. And in one chapter there is about 27 pages, which is one paragraph and one sentence. Now, if any of you ever had to write an English essay, having one sentence with 27 pages and even no paragraphs, that's a long sentence. But his sentence was about the relationship between I, thou. And afterwards, when I read it recently again, just now to refamiliarize myself with it. And it was as boring then as it is now. But still, at the same time, there was a message within it that was in the way that he wrote it, that would explain to me this relationship between I, meaning me, and thou, meaning God. It is in that relationship that Jesus Christ is talking about in this particular gospel. It's not about the marriage in a sense between two people, but it's about that relationship between the I, meaning Jesus, and thou, meaning God. That complementarity is the word that I would use. Being complemented to each other. It's the foundation of the understanding of marriage. Now that may sound hard for a lot of people today because you're not familiar with that kind of terminology. That relationship between the other. Now, there's another bit of a way of looking at it. They say the other. You and the other, or I and the other. The other meaning, of course, the other being that is in relationship with you. There's another book, of course, written by a man by the name of Karl Wojtyla. I don't know if you know Karl Wojtyla. Does anyone know Karl Wojtyla? You should know him. No? Oh yes, who is this? Pope John Paul II. Second. Saint Pope John Paul II. In his book, I Man, it's not a very popular book either, by the way. Also an extremely complicated phenomenology for the people to read. I meaning God, and man meaning person. So the I-Man, the way he spoke about it, is that relationship between God and man. He twisted around from Buber's understanding of man and God. And in that particular book, again, he writes about that relationship, that coming to know the Father, coming to know God as a person and a personable idea, that the relationship between the Father and the individual is something greater than what we sometimes think. He also wrote a book called Theology of the Body. I don't know if any of you have ever decided to try and read that particular book. Again, they're not easy books to read, but they explain to us relationships and how those relationships are involved in each other. It's not an easy relationship. To see someone as the other is to see someone who you are involved with. We have sometimes called the I-it relationship. And in that case, that's what we have in today's world. We have an I-it relationship. The other is the object of the other person, and therefore they're individualized. They're not actually in communion with each other. They're living together under the one house, they're being part of the community as a couple, but they're really separate of each other. They're not really in communication in a spiritual level with each other. Then you ask yourself, why do we have divorce? Because that lack of spirituality, because that lack of coming together as a couple in relationship to I thou, or I man, I am, or I man, if you read those two, you will see that the complementarity in the spiritual sense is what is the glue in the marriage. People say, Father, you don't understand marriage. You've never got married. You've given it up. That is probably true on the physical level, yes. I do not understand it. Why? Because I'm not married. But from the spiritual standpoint, I am married. I am married to the I, or to the man, or to God. And in that spiritual sense, I am married. With the same relationship as a husband and wife are in their relationship. The I man and the I thou are the two ideas that are embedded in me in spirituality when I'm talking about God. I talk about him as someone that is the other in my life. Not just someone who is an object of my life. When we see this is the problem, of course, and it's a whole course, really, on the idea of what that complementarity is. It's not an easy thing to understand. I had a man in my pub when I was a bar person. And he came in for a brandy. Well, I would say he came in for more than just one brandy. But he came in for a couple of shots of brandy, or maybe a half bottle of brandy, I'm not really right sure. But he was getting married. And he needed a little bit of Dutch courage to go up to get married. And as we were discussing the idea of him getting married, I came up with the question, are you going to share what you own with your wife to be? And his answer was very clear. He says, what hers is mine, and what mine is my own. That is what our world is today. What mine is my own. The I relationship. If you have an I relationship in your marriage, it won't last. Because there isn't that complementarity. There are two individuals just performing a service in a way. They're not coming together in the spiritual life that they need. We all talk about it. We talk about it when we're talking to young people who are getting married. We tell them about the idea that they should pray together. And when I say that to them, it looks like sometimes as if they think, is this man for real? This is not reality. There's no such thing as prayer in a marriage. We haven't time. Why? Well, because I'm working or he's working or whatever the case may be. We're always working with individuals. I get paid, he gets paid, and we have our two bank accounts, and we come together and we work out which bills we're going to pay. But it's two bank accounts. Oh, and by the way, I signed a prenuptial agreement as well on top of that. You know, most people would say that's good economic sense. Because what you bring into the marriage you should be able to have. Add your own. That's nice. Lovely. But where's the spiritual life? Where's the light on the glue that actually holds that marriage together? If you're listening to what Jesus is talking about, that's what he's talking. He's talking about that spiritual sense of coming together as two becoming one flesh. I've looked at that particular statement for many times. I've given many a wedding sermon just on that idea of the two becoming one flesh and what that means in the scheme of things. If you read I thou and you read I man and the theology of the body, it takes on a different role. You know, he talks about creating them. You know, in the first reading we hear where he created the woman out of the rib of the man. They became one flesh. That's what he's talking about. That they are one flesh when they come together. They're no longer individuals. They're no longer separated by a chasm. They are created in each other's likeness. It's a deeper meaning than just marriage on its own. It's not just about the bed. In many ways, I suppose, that's what we have in our world today. We have people trying to find that particular area. We are all trying to seek it every day of our lives. We just don't really know how to go about seeking it. The Desert Fathers in their writings also stated that marriage is something that is unique between male and female. Not because they were just two people, but because they are complementary to each other. Not just in the sex end of it, but also in their companionship, in the way that they speak to each other, the way they see each other, the way that they treat each other. The idea of respect for both couples is involved. It's not just something that is one performing a duty. It is something greater than that duty. Our lives, our beings, are involved in that. The extension of a couple is the church, in where they are. Their family is part of their extension, but they are still united together as one flesh. That extension, of course, extends out to the rest of us to help them to remain together as one flesh. We sometimes forget that. We look at couples today and we say, oh, you're married now, fine. Work it out yourself. And I'm afraid that's what our world has given us. Even our teaching in our churches sometimes has given us. It doesn't allow us anymore to actually be part of the wedding process or to be a part of that marriage process between couples. There is no support for them here. Young people today tell me that's probably one of the worst things that is going on at the church. There is no support for married couples. Now, probably a lot of it is on their side of it too. They will tell you, well, we don't need it, Father. Keep out of our bed. The world tells us that marriage is only about the bed, because that seems to be the place that is the most tender in the conversation. It's not about the bed. If it was about the bed, we could make a rule for it and walk from there. It's about more than that. It's about that relationship between the couple who become one flesh in the idea of being the I-thou relationship, the I-God relationship. So today let us pray that we may be able to help young couples to marry within the church, be complementary to each other, and to be also involved in their marriage as examples to them of what it is to be in one flesh. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.